Hello, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to discuss the 97.3 degree reading in Sausalito at my place that we had on September 3rd of 2024. This was the hottest reading of the year for Sausalito so far this year. It's the hottest temperature that has been recorded at my home. And I wanted to start out by talking about the upper air pressure heights on that day. What was going on with the pressure at about the 18,000 foot level of the atmosphere. This is important in terms of understanding why it got so hot. And so basically what we have here is, you notice this red blob off of the coast of Oregon and California. This indicates a small but significant area of higher pressure. This is a 588 decameter high. And this is representative of sinking air, of a lot of air pressing down on the atmosphere. That's why it's also considered a higher thickness value. But we have basically a little center of high pressure here, so we have sinking air, and we have very warm air at the 5,000 foot level. If I show you the temperature at the 5,000 foot level, you'll be able to see a little bit of what I'm talking about. See, we have building high pressure here, and remember we also had, I didn't show it, but there was also a building high pressure system to the south, and so you see it makes sense. You would have all this warm air. Look at this warm air at the 5,000 foot level, and this is mixing down to the surface. And what's important to notice is we didn't have much marine influence over the Bay Area. And I'm going to go back to the pressure heights map, and I'm going to start to explain why that was. Now, the wind circulation around high pressure systems in the northern hemisphere is clockwise circulation. So when you have the high pressure center positioned well to the north of the Bay Area, like this, which we have not seen much at all summer. The high pressure has usually been either level or pretty much to the south of the Bay Area. And when that happens, you have onshore wind. You have the wind wrapping around from the side, and you have more of a westerly wind, which is gonna bring cooler ocean air. When you have the high pressure up here, which had not happened much at all this summer, it's different. You get the eastern edge of the high pressure system, and you have more of a north wind. And so this is exactly what occurred, is we had a north wind bringing that warm air from the 5,000 foot level, warming it even further as it travels down the mountains along the coastal range here, and making it very warm even in places near the coast, such as Sausalito, because that cold marine air was not allowed to push in and was actually being pushed out by some of these northerly winds. Now, we tend to have very significant offshore winds in months like September and October. This was not a significant event, but it was just enough offshore wind combined with the warm air aloft to make that happen. Now I'm going to show the wind map for the Bay Area at about 1 p.m. on September 3rd. And this also gives you a good idea of what was going on. You see here, I'm going to zoom in. Over the Sacramento Valley, you had north wind. There's that north wind that I was talking about. And this is moving downhill, and it's compressing and warming. And you have quite variable winds throughout the Bay Area here, but you have some of those downsloping winds off the East Bay Hills. Remember, you have mountains here, you have downsloping winds off of some of these mountains. And you have a northwest wind right at the coast, which is going to have some cooler marine air with it. But notice how compressed that is. Notice how that is just right along the immediate coastline. And then areas further inland, like Sausalito's right about here where my mouse is, not getting any of that wind because it's very compressed. And it's only like areas like Point Reyes and maybe like the very immediate coastline of San Francisco that was able to benefit from some kind of sea breeze that day. But notice that didn't really start up for a while. Like 12:30, you still had very light winds even at the coast, and you had this northerly wind mixing down through much of the Bay Area. And then you go through the afternoon and you had a little more of a sea breeze, but this is not much at all. So you just threw the Golden Gate there, but not much elsewhere. And here, if you look at the Sacramento Valley, still very much a north wind, in a lot of Marin County here, which is what facilitated in such intense warming. Now I'm going to show you real quick the temperature, some of the wind and the temperature data for my home station in Sausalito. So we can see here up until about 2:15, so about 2:15 where I'm showing here with the cursor, we had the winds, see the wind direction at the very top. Up until then, we had pretty much north, sometimes northeast wind. We had a very northerly type of wind, as you can see, generally out of the north. And then after 2:15, I'm just going to go back over here because I'll show you. After 2:15, notice how it goes west. And then notice what happens with the temperature in contrast to that. So see, let's put the cursor right here at about 2:15. This is when it got the hottest. This reading is when we had 97.3. So what's showing at the top here is actually the 3 p.m. reading. And that's not what I'm talking about now, because by 3 p.m. the temperature had already dropped, as you can see, to 87.8. But I'm showing 2:15 here where it was over 95, and when I was looking at the data, it showed a maximum of 97.3. So this is when it got hottest, and before this is when we had those northerly winds. As you can see, the temperature was building, and then maybe the wind would relax a little bit of ocean air, puffs of ocean air would seep through, and it drops, and then it goes right back up when that wind picks up, or when the ocean air stops moving through. Because we would have very light sea breezes at time, but not much of significance, and then got all the way up to close to 100, and then at 2:15, as I showed in the previous video, it drops significantly. Look at this, just like that, and it's a significant drop, and by the time you get to 3, it's already 87, and by the time you get like later that afternoon, I believe it was already down into the 70s. So that's just a brief explanation of why it got so hot on that day and the factors that led up to it. I hope this was a helpful video. I hope you were able to get something out of it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.